guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Alex from Alex's Innovations, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make this beautiful gradient rainbow arrowhead. I received a bunch of requests on how to make arrowheads because I've posted some pictures of them on my Instagram, but the thing is I had been putting this off because these arrowheads are so gradient, like there were like 5 shades of blue and then 4 more shades of orange, that it would be very, very difficult to refer to all the colors separately, and plus it would be very confusing for people who are just doing this pattern for the first time. So I decided to make this pattern as a rainbow. I've made a shaped start for this pattern as you saw in my last video. I'm not going to be showing you guys how to do this upper triangle part. I'm just going to be starting at the middle of the pattern, so people who don't really want to do this shaped start, they can just start off right in the middle of the pattern. Hey guys, Editing Alex here. So I realized that while I was filming, I did not put all the necessary diagrams on the pattern. I usually do that when I'm editing, and so I forgot to realize, just a quick note, that we're going to be starting the pattern from below the black line. So that's just going to be starting from everywhere that you see below the black line. Alright, time to switch back to actual Alex. So right now I'm looking at my pattern and I see that all the way on the left we have our bluish teal thread. Then we have our slightly darker teal thread, then our green thread, then our dark teal thread, yellow thread, navy blue thread, light orange thread, purple thread, darker orange thread, darker red thread, darkest orange thread, and the lighter red. And this is exactly mirrored on the other side. So first we're going to start in the middle. Our pattern is telling us to take the left red thread and do a double forward knot over the right red thread. Now we're going to start on the outside of the pattern. So right now it says that this blue thread is sort of sticking out on the side, so we're going to put this over here. And then we're going to take this green thread and we're going to do a double backward knot over this darker teal thread. Then it wants us to bring this lighter teal thread back in, and then with the green thread, do a backward forward knot over the teal thread. Next, it wants us to take this yellow thread and do a double backward knot over the darkest teal thread. And then a backward forward knot over the lighter teal thread. It wants us to repeat this for the lightest orange, lighter orange, and then the dark orange. So for this light orange, I'll be doing a backward knot over the navy thread. And then a backward forward knot over the darkest teal thread. Then with the darker orange, do the same thing. Do a backward knot over the purple thread. And then a backward forward knot over the navy blue thread. Then finally with the darkest orange, do a double backward knot over the darker red thread. And then a backward forward knot over the purple thread. Alright, and then with the lighter red thread that we knotted with before, take the left one and do a backward forward knot over the darker red thread. Now we're going to repeat what we've done on this side, but we're going to do the opposite on the other side. So take this green thread all the way over here. We're going to do a double forward knot over the darker teal thread, and then a forward backward knot over the lighter teal thread. Then with the yellow thread, we're going to do a double forward knot over the darkest teal thread, and then a forward backward knot over the lighter teal thread. Then with the lightest orange thread, we're going to do a double forward knot over the navy blue thread, and then over the darkest teal thread. Alright, then take the darker orange thread and do a double forward knot over the purple thread, and then a forward backward knot over the navy thread. Then take the darkest orange thread and do a double forward knot over the dark red thread, and then a forward backward knot over the dark purple thread. Then in the middle, take your light red thread and do a forward backward knot over the dark red thread. And then with that same thread, do a double backward knot over the other light red thread. Alright, so now we're pretty much going to be segment knotting if you're not familiar with segment knotting, it's basically when you don't do row by row knotting of a pattern. For me, I find it a little easier because it makes my knots tighter because I'm working with the same thread and I don't have to keep switching threads. So we're going to be doing it that way. So take this orange thread and we are going to do 2 double forward knots. And then with the same thread on the other side, we are going to do 2 double backward knots. And then another backward knot over the other orange thread. Alright, now with this lighter orange thread, we are going to be doing 3 double forward knots. And then a forward backward knot over the dark orange thread in the middle. Then with the corresponding thread on the other side, the lighter orange thread, we're going to do 3 double backward knots. And then a backward forward knot over the middle darker orange thread. Now starting on the left side again, we're going to take the lightest orange thread. We're going to do 3 double forward knots. And then a forward backward knot over the lighter red thread. Then with the same color on the other side, we're going to do 3 double backward knots. And then we're going to do a backward forward knot over the light red thread. Then on the left side with the yellow thread, you're going to do 3 double forward knots. And then a forward backward knot over the dark red thread. Then with the yellow thread on the other side, you're going to do 3 double backward knots. And then over the dark red thread, do a backward forward knot. Alright, now with the light green thread on the left side, you're going to do the same thing as always. You're going to do 3 double forward knots. And then a forward backward knot over the dark purple thread. Then with the green thread on the other side, you're going to do 3 backward knots. And then do a backward forward knot over the purple thread. Alright, now this edge is going to be a little bit different than the middle because we don't have an infinite amount of threads. So we're going to take this light teal thread and you're going to do only 2 double forward knots. And then a forward backward knot over the navy thread. Then on the other side, you're going to take this edge lighter teal thread. You're going to do 2 double backward knots, and then a backward forward knot over the navy blue thread. Alright, so now on the left side, take this lighter teal, and then do a forward backward knot on top of the darker teal thread. Then on the other side, do the same thing, take this lighter teal thread, and do a backward forward knot on top of the darker teal thread. Then on the left side, take this lightest teal thread, and do 2 double backward knots. And then on the right side, take the lightest teal thread and do 2 forward knots. Now on the left side, take the green thread and do 2 double backward knots. And then a backward forward knot over the dark teal thread. Then on the right side, take the green thread and do 2 double forward knots. And then a forward backward knot over the middle teal thread. Then on the left side, take the yellow thread and do the same thing. Do 2 double backward knots and a backward forward knot. Then on the right side, take the yellow thread and do 2 double forward knots. And then a forward backward knot over the darkest teal thread. Now back on the left side, take the lighter orange thread and do 2 double backward knots. And then a backward forward knot over the navy thread. Then on the right side, take the light orange thread and do 2 forward knots. And then a forward backward knot over the navy thread. Then the left side with the darker orange thread, do 2 double backward knots. And then a backward forward knot over the purple thread. Then on the right side, with the lighter orange thread, do 2 double forward knots. And then a forward backward knot over the purple thread. Alright, now in the middle, take these 2 darkest orange threads, take the left one and do a double forward knot over the right one. Then with that same thread, do another double forward knot over the light red thread. And then do a forward backward knot over the dark red thread. With the other orange thread in the middle, do a double backward knot over the light red thread. And then do a backward forward knot over the dark red thread. Now, knot in the middle, red threads over each other. Alrighty, so now take this orange thread to the left and do 1 forward knot over the lighter red thread. And then the other orange thread, do 1 backward knot over the light red thread. And and then another knot over the darker orange thread. So it will form this little diamond in the middle. And then with the lighter orange thread, do the same thing. You're going to make a diamond around the darker orange thread, so do 3 forward knots, 1 over the dark red thread, 1 over the light red thread, and 1 over the orange thread. And then on the other side, using the same color, you're going to do 3 double backward knots, 1 over the dark thread, 1 over the light red thread, and then 1 over the dark orange thread. And then finally, knot the 2 middle light orange threads over each other. Now take this lightest orange thread and do 3 double forward knots, 1 over the purple thread, 1 over the dark red thread, and 1 over the light red thread. And then do a forward backward knot over the darkest orange thread. Now on the right side, take that same color of orange and do 3 double backward knots. And then do a backward forward knot over the darkest orange thread. On the left side, take the yellow thread and do the same thing. So do 3 double forward knots. And then over the light red thread, do a forward backward knot. Then with the yellow thread on the right side, do 3 backward knots. And then do a backward forward knot over the light red thread. Then on the left side again, take the green thread and do 3 double forward knots. And then do a forward backward knot over the dark red thread. Then on the right side, take the green thread and do 3 double backward knots. And then 1 backward forward knot over the dark red thread. Then with this light teal thread all the way on the edge, you're going to do 3 double forward knots. And then a forward backward knot over the purple thread. Now on the right side, take that same color of teal and do 3 double backward knots. And then a backward forward knot over the purple thread. Alrighty. On the left side, take this darker teal thread and do 1 double forward knot, and then 1 forward backward knot over the navy thread. So now that your knot's facing this way, we're going to be knotting a backward knot. So take the same thread that you just knotted with and then do a double backward knot over the darkest teal thread. So we're going to do the same thing but reverse on this side. So take this teal thread and do 1 double backward knot, then do 1 backward forward knot over the navy thread, and then 1 double forward knot over the darkest teal thread. Now at this point you can see that we've kind of reached the end of the pattern, and if you notice, if you go back up to the top of the pattern, you can see that it doesn't repeat with the same color, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do a little detective work. So we can't look at like one segment above, we have to look 2 segments above, because as you can see here, instead of there being 1 knot at the end, there's 1, 2, 3 knots in like a sort of sideways V. So we have to go up not here, but here. And as you can see, going down in this direction, we have a turning knot, and then we have 1, 2, and then another turning knot. So right here we have to do the same thing, and as you can see, we can actually do that. So we'd have this thread, we'd have this light teal thread, and we do 1 knot, 2 knot, and then over this one we do a turning knot. So we're going to take this teal thread, and we're going to do 2 double forward knots, and then a forward backward knot. And again on the other side. We're going to take this light teal thread, do 2 double backward knots, and then a backward forward knot. Now on the same side, we're going to take this green thread and we're just going to follow the pattern. So we're going to do 2 double backward knots, and then a backward forward knot with this dark teal thread. Then on the other side, we'll take this green thread, do 2 double forward knots, and then a forward backward knot over this dark teal thread. Back on the left side again, we're going to take the yellow thread, and do 2 double backward knots, and then a backward forward knot over the navy thread. Then on the right side, take the yellow thread and do 2 double forward knots, and then a forward backward knot over the navy thread. Then on the left, with this light orange thread, do 2 double backward knots, and then a backward forward knot over the purple thread. Then on the right side, take the same color, and do 2 double forward knots, and then a forward backward knot over this purple thread. Alright, now if you look up 2 segments earlier, 1 segment, 2 segments, you can see that in the middle we have this red thread which sort of creates 4 knots. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 knots, and then around it we have this orange sort of diamond. So this orange is going to be in the center right here. See this orange? It's the second thread in. We have the light thread and then we have the darker thread. So this darker thread is going to be the second one in, which means that this lighter thread is going to be this larger diamond. So that, and again, we have to do 2 forward knots and then a forward backward knot. So let's do that. So on the right side, let's take this slightly darker orange thread and do 2 double forward knots over the darkest orange thread. And then do a forward backward knot over the darkest red thread. Then same thing other side, take this lighter orange thread, do 2 double backward knots, and then a backward forward knot over this dark red thread. And then in the center, just like I said before, instead of doing red here, because the next color down is orange, because it's all been pushed down 1, we're going to be doing 1, 2, 3, 4 knots in the center, and it's going to be this dark orange. So take this darker orange, not one over the other, and then take the orange on the right and do a forward backward knot over the red, and then take the orange on the left and do a backward forward over the red. And then with the same orange thread you just knotted with, just knot over the center. So see up here how with this orange thread we closed the diamond? Like we didn't go backwards and then forwards, we just closed the diamond. So we're going to do the same thing over here with this lighter orange. So take this lighter orange and do 2 double forward knots. And then take the orange on the other side and do 2 double backward knots. And then do another backward knot over the middle lighter orange thread. And basically using this technique of referencing the pattern like 2 sections ago, like you can't reference it just one because there's a single knot here, whereas here there are 2, like there's like 4 knots in the middle. So by using this technique of referencing what you already knotted above, once you do this first part of the pattern, the rest of it is very easy because you can just reference it up. So using this technique, I hope that this helped you out, and don't forget to tune back in so you can learn how to finish the end of the bracelet. Alright, so hopefully you're back and you have made this bracelet as long as you'd like, minus about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. So right now my bracelet is about 5 inches long, and I'm going to show you guys how to end it using the shaped end. So first put this bracelet on your clipboard and make sure you've ended it so it looks like a straight line like this. And also make sure you've done it so it's like in the middle of the point. You don't want to do it at the end of the point, you want to do it so it's in the middle. First, just begin by knotting the center diamond, and then knot the diamond right after that. So for me, I'm taking the light teal thread, and I'm doing 2 forward knots. And then with this other teal thread on the other side, I'm going to do 2 backward knots. And then a 3rd backward knot over this other teal thread. Now, normally you'd think, now we're going to take this teal thread and do some backward knots or forward knots and then a forward backward knot, right? That's not what we're going to do. We're just going to keep doing forward knots until we reach the middle. And this way we're going to create a nice triangle at the end of our bracelet. You can't do the shaped start if the end of the bracelet is not in a triangle, so this way this will make it a triangle and it will make it much easier to do. So you're going to continue it in this way. You're going to be taking the strings, and instead of doing any forward backward knots or backward forward knots, you're just going to make knots down the line into the center. Alright, so once you're done with that, then we're just going to go and we're just going to create our shaped start like we always do. So I'm going to start on the right side, and we're going to take these first 2 red strings, and holding the dark red string in your left hand, you're going to do a forward backward knot with the lighter thread over the darker thread. Then group these 2 threads together, and then take the orange thread and do a forward backward knot. This is all explained in much greater detail in my previous video. It's called Shaped Ends. You can also watch the one on Shaped Starts if you'd like, but it goes into much more detail and I do this a lot slower. But basically you're going to be forward backward knotting all of these strings on top of each other so they all gather down into the middle. Alright, so once you're done with the right side, then we're just going to go on to the left side, and instead of doing forward-backward knots, we're going to be doing backward-forward knots. So take this lighter red thread and do a backward-forward knot over the dark red thread. Then group those together and take the orange thread and do the same thing. And again, just like the other side, just go all the way down. Once you're done with that, then just split these into 2 separate groups and then braid the ends and you'll be done. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to keep the bracelets coming. In addition, if you'd like to see more bracelets, please follow me on Instagram at alexinnovations or check out my website at alexinnovations.weebly.com. Thank you so much, guys. See you next time.